So Stacey Abrams has a plan for black men specifically. Let's check it out. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about 2022 Georgia governor candidate Stacey Abrams and her plan for the black man specifically. Now, this is not a plan for black people, people of color, minorities, or whatever you want to call it. It's for black men specifically. Why? Well, she's not doing very well in the polls. As a matter of fact, I read that Stacey Abrams is polling 17% lower among black men than she did back in 2018 when she lost, although she didn't think she lost last time. But anyway, when she lost against now Georgia Governor Brian Kemp. So if she lost back then and she's doing worse, she's got to be able to fix it some kind of way. Now, when I first heard about this story, I heard what she wanted to do to try and fix this. And they were talking about she reached out to radio talk show host Charlamagne the God from the hip hop morning show, The Breakfast Club, and also rappers Lil Baby and 21 Savage. That was her idea of reaching out to the black community and to black men specifically to raise those numbers. Now, I'm not necessarily a rocket scientist. I don't know everything, but I can kind of bet that if people say, you know what, I don't just want to vote for her again because she is a black woman, a Democrat, I'm thinking a little bit different. I'm using my brain. I don't think those guys are going to be swayed with 21 Savage and Lil Baby. You might need a little bit more than that. So her team put out some things on her website that may entice us to go to the polls and vote for Stacey Abrams. Now, I don't live in Georgia, so I have no necessarily direct dog in the fight, but this is very important for her country. If she becomes governor of Georgia, I'm right here. Like, I live in Tennessee. I'm right by Georgia. I'm in Georgia all the time. If she becomes governor, that could ruin a lot of stuff, not just for Georgia, but for the entire country. Now, let's go ahead and put it on the screen. Of course, this will be in the description box for your viewing pleasure as well. This is a link on her website. As you see, Stacey Abrams for governor. And this says policy, black men's agenda. There's a nice little picture of her. Not shaking hands, little fist bump with a random black man, another black man in the background, just kikiing, laughing, having a good old time. I'm not sure what the joke was, but good grief, it must have been the knee slapper. I tell you what. And then you have the generic black men for Abrams thing in the background. Have you ever seen that shirt worn in public? If I go to Lenox Mall, if I go to Perimeter, if I go to somewhere, if I go to the Battery out there where the Braves play, am I going to see that shirt worn by anybody? I don't think so, but I digress. So let's read some of this and I'll react to it. Black men deserve leadership that sees them, serves them, and believes in them. I'm committed to investing in black men, their families, and their businesses by leveraging Georgia's $5 billion surplus, a plan that economists agree will not raise taxes. Okay, sure. Already it sounds like tax and spend. Already. Because I didn't even think about the taxes being raised. This sounds like tax and spend. And I'm sure there's other things that need to be done in Georgia aside from trying to target one very small group. Well, not very small in Georgia. That's a pretty big population. But still, I think this may not necessarily be a good plan, but I don't want to judge it right away. Let's go ahead and just dive into it. So the first little thing here is economic security. And she wants to provide capital and contract opportunities for black small businesses. That's the same old like Kwame Kilpatrick, Detroit type thing, giving out contracts to your friends and whatnot. But this would be more about a minority thing. But that's kind of like already being done to a certain extent, especially in a place like Atlanta, Georgia. So she wants to establish a $10 million small business investment fund, eliminate fees and red tape to start your own business, increase purchasing from black-owned businesses by state entities, allow multiple small companies to jointly bid on state contracts as prime contractor, close the gap between minority and non-minority business revenues in 6 to 8 years at current pace will take 100 years. Okay. Create a $5 million family farms initiative to aid small and micro farms with financing. Now, let's go back up to the top just for a moment. This says black men's agenda, correct? Black men. But then when I get here, they're talking about small business investment fund. Does it say black men? Does it say eliminate fees and red tape for black men to start their businesses? It says increase purchasing from black-owned businesses. Does it say black men or black-owned? That could be black women as well. And also minority and non-minority. See what I'm saying? You're talking about anybody that's non-white. So we're talking about black men specifically. Why have all these things that are not just for black men, if that's what it's about? I'm not saying that it should be a thing like this, but if it's going to be, then let's let it be. Don't use these words that are very vague and specifically not specific. But we'll continue. Put money back in your pockets. Tax rebates for everyone making less than $250,000 a year. In wage theft and misclassification, treating employees as independent contractors. See, they're talking about unionizing, essentially. So if you work Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, and whatnot, they don't want you to do that. They don't want you to do 1099. They want you to be an employee. Personally, I prefer to be an independent contractor rather than an employee because you have more freedom that way. Okay, with being an employee, it comes a bunch of other stuff. I'd rather be independent contractor and move about how I want to move about. See, I don't like that at all. You know, that seems like you're going to put more pressure on companies like Uber and Lyft. And what it's going to end up doing is making the people that work with these companies worse off in the end, in my opinion. Anyway, enforce unemployment regulations in cooperation with the Labor Commission. And 53% of Georgians deny unemployment during the pandemic were black. Let's see, healthcare and housing. Expand Medicaid. Adults making $9 an hour or less would be eligible for health insurance, including non-crisis mental health and substance abuse treatment. We'll create 64,000 good paying jobs across the state. Now let's pause right here. $9 an hour? Who's making $9 an hour as a grown adult male that actually is going to vote? Do you know that 70% of those who make 30 grand or less per year do not vote? So why would this be? Again, you're talking about trying to reach out to those who don't want to vote for you anymore. The Democratic vote goes 90% usually for the Democratic candidate. Like the black community, the Democratic vote usually has a 90% support rate from the black community. And Stacey Abrams was counting on that. Matter of fact, let's put that right there on pause. Let's go to this little blurb right here. Okay. This little blurb. While recent polls show that Abrams is 10% below the ideal 90% of the black vote she needs to stop her Republican opponent, political scientist Tammy Greer said there were 2.5 million voters who didn't cast ballots in 2018 when Abrams first competed against incumbent Governor Brian Kemp that are up for grabs. So they want to get 90%, and if they are polling below that, it's a problem. You understand what I'm saying? So if that's going on and people broke away from that, it had to be a good reason. And these guys probably make more than $9 an hour. Okay, I'm seeing signs out here in Tennessee for McDonald's starting at $15 an hour. Who's making $9 an hour or less? How is that going to help with people that you want to get back who don't want to vote for you anymore? That made no sense. But anyway, make housing more affordable for everyone, support first-time homeowners, and provide financial education. Create a permanent fund to finance property tax deferments for working class households facing rapidly rising property taxes caused by out-of-state buyers or gentrification. Out-of-state investors. Funny how you talk about that, where a lot of your campaign is funded by out-of-state money, Stacey Abrams. But we'll continue. Education and job training, increase funding to public schools, and decrease over-disciplining of black children. That's not even really a thing. You know, a lot of times you got black kids that come from bad households. That's why they act worse than everybody else. I'm not saying all the time, but that's usually what happens. So what are you going to do about that? You got to be able to affect the household rather than trying to make the bad kids not get disciplined as much so it'll look better on paper. Create 20,000 apprenticeships, including construction, entertainment, and advanced energy. Restore free technical college. Expand access to hope and fund need-based aid for higher education. particularly at HBCUs. And one thing I agree with is the technical college or, apprenticeships, construction and stuff like that. But I think that should be something that you need to pay for responsibly. And again, how is that just for black men? We're getting into really vague stuff. We're talking about first-time homeowners, apprenticeships, free technical college. That's not a black men only thing at all. Okay, criminal justice, public safety, focus law enforcement resources on serious violent crime, which is basically defunding the police. Don't arrest somebody for, criminal trespass, breaking and entering, or breaking into your car or something like that. Don't worry about that. Small crimes like that, let them off, slap on the wrist. All that's going to do is just increase the crime in the black community, which it has done all over the country. But anyway, support legislation to decriminalize marijuana and poverty-based criminal penalties. Exactly. Poverty-based. Okay, I broke into your Dodge Charger at in Midtown and Buckhead, so don't lock me up. That's what that means. Repeal extreme gun laws, including criminal carry, and close loopholes. What does criminal carry mean? I don't even understand what that means. And if you're trying to talk about gun laws in Georgia, that's how I lost the first time, Miss Abrams. You're talking about guns. Everybody in Georgia has guns. The criminals, the normies, black, white, Puerto Rican, candy stripe, trying to run a campaign against guns is not going to work. To even mention that right here as a thing that's going to help black men makes no sense. Also, restore diversion programs and reentry programs to support housing, healthcare, and employment. Hold law enforcement accountable. Require accountability for law enforcement and correctional officers. Track officers with records of bad behavior and prevent them from getting new jobs. Create state guidelines that address use of force, de-escalation, crisis, intervention. Okie dokie. So that is Stacey Abrams' plan for the black men. I don't think that's really gonna. I mean, there were some things in there, technical college. That's pretty much it. The rest of that, it was pretty vague and generic. It wasn't just for black men, first of all, but beyond that, a lot of tax and spend, defund the police, just typical leftist stuff. So again, if you left the Democratic Party, if you dropped support for Stacey Abrams from 2018 to 2022, what about that particular agenda would get you back on board? Great question, but I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you like what Stacey Abrams put down there for her plan for the black man? Whatever your thoughts on that are, let me know in the comments below. You guys pretty much know where I'm at. I did not like that too tough. A couple of things in there were okay, but for the most part, it's typical leftist stuff that she's been talking about for the past few years. There's nothing really new or interesting there. And it was also not really specific to black men. Nothing there was for black men specifically. You're talking about minorities and poverty and poor people and the police and all this and that. So again, if you want to regain that 17% you lost from 2018 to 2022, you need to do a lot more than that. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.